Okay, so I do have a fashion library and it runs like an actual library, but I don't have the resources to make it a wider library. So basically my friends that I work with borrow stuff and I have like my stamps and I keep tallies of books and stuff and they borrow books and they send me my books back and all that sort of stuff. And the whole reason for it is I think that in fashion in general, especially these days, I don't think it was it was an issue not too long ago, but I think now definitely I think people just lack knowledge on certain things, whether it's historically or now. So I have all kinds of books from African art history to European art history to literal profiles on certain designers like Balenciaga, Schiaparelli, or Yves Saint Laurent, or, Lanvin, all these designers, to books on graphic designers that I really love, like Alexei Brodovich, who did, the graphic design for the old Harper's Bazaar covers, and he was one of the reasons why people use negative space the way they use it now. I have a magazine archive, like all these different things, because I think that, once again, it doesn't matter what you do, learning never ends. So you just have to keep on learning. But I think a big issue these days is people don't, or think that they know shit and that's it. I think a lot of journalists I meet are on this case of, there's nothing, like learning never ends. But I'll meet, let's say, certain people that just make content and they're like, I kind of feel like I know everything there is to know about fashion. And I'm like, that's funny. Like, I think that in my head, like, how the fuck can you think you know everything there is to know about fashion? Have some humility. Jesus Christ. There's people that are 95 years old and they haven't even scratched the surface. Why do you, 18-year-old, think that you know everything there is to know about fashion? Because you learnt about Balenciaga and Schiaparelli. Like, that's insane.
And that's where people get to going, oh, that's a Margiela reference. Oh, that's a Margiela. It's like, no, that's a VNA reference. That's a...
Or that's a Sonia Rykiel reference, that Margiela, right?
Yeah, it's like, please have some shame. Okay. But just to stay on our point, it's like, for me, like, there is so many reasons why having a library of references is important, because everybody has a Pinterest, right? But not everybody has page 58 of this book that I really, really love on photography in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there is value in being able to create, like, know what your taste is first, right? And have your own taste. Like, like I said, you spent 3 years discovering your style. Now add to it, and then add to the greater context of what you understand. Or should I say, that is what I do. You don't need to do anything. But I add to the greater context of what I understand, because this is what I care about. And if I say to myself, I live and breathe this, then there is no reason why I shouldn't be able to invest in my library as much as I invest in, let's say, having fun with my friends, or, eating and having food. It's like, this is just as much my part of my life as, having good stew and jollof rices. I'll be real. So like, I think it's important. But he's about to say some amazing things right now.
Yeah, fact. I see. People also seem to get 3 sources of inspiration altogether, chosen from the most talked about 100 arts and design people from social media. Now, like, that's it. This is my work now. I am finished. Yeah, that is very true, unfortunately. So people they read those books like 50 fashion designers you should know. And it's like Christian Dior and Christopher Balenciaga and Lanvin and Balmain and like all these designers don't learn about anything else, which is terrible, by the way. Because I talk about this all the time, like, those designers benefit from the industry that is fashion. So if you found a way to get to Paris some way, somehow, there's an ecosystem of magazines and journalists that will write about your work and document it. There are so many designers who were probably making work just as good, but it's not as documented. Which is why, as much as I love learning about new story about Schiaparelli, I love learning about designers that have been influential in different ways, like people like Shea Thomas Farm, who is one of the first like major African designers that went really big internationally and was very well recognized internationally. I'm actually dropping an interview with her on Patreon very soon, actually. That was done not too long ago. So people like that, all of it is valid. It's like learning, just really, really broaden your horizons. It's not just about 10 designers. Like, yeah, I know about fashion in the 90s, Helmut Lang and Jill Sander, reading off a list. Like, it's not, there's just more to fashion than that. Luke said, I've set my appointment at McQueen into motion. Yeah, I just think if you want to work in fashion, it's different if like it's just a hobby, that's different. But if you want to work in fashion, I think there needs to be a certain level of passion, whether you're a journalist or a designer or whatever. There just needs to be a level of obsession with what you do, an obsession with seeking the knowledge about certain things. Like, it shows. I mean, you can always tell who does it for that reason. Like, I post videos on YouTube and clips on YouTube that I know will not do well. I already know, because the audience is low. Like, I know I post a video about, let's say, African designers, and people don't want to watch it, so it doesn't get that many views. But I don't care, because the people that are that tapped in will watch that video and learn about new fashion and learn about a different perspective of fashion coming from a different place. If I wanted to be Mr. I get the most views, I'll just talk about Balenciaga all day and leave it there. I wouldn't extend the amount of topics that I talk about. I'll just talk about the most popular thing, and that's where everything ends.
Yeah, no, there's a level of obsession that we all need for the thing that we love. And sometimes, honestly, sometimes people don't want to be obsessed. And I do think that that is fair and healthy and everything like that. But then you also need, like, I understand that everything is a spectrum, right? So there are people who are super obsessed, and then there are people that just want a paycheck. And some of us may fall somewhere on the middle ground, right? And everything can live in unison. But what we shouldn't do is throw hate on people that are here because, you know, they like it, but maybe just not that much, right? Or maybe they like this particular facet of it. But if you say you are part of this particular group, as in like the people who love it for real, then there are signs, you know what I'm saying? There are signs that you actually love it to that degree. And you show appreciation for the people that do love it. And, you know, you get people like Jennifer, Understitch, Ayo, you know what I'm saying? All of the people in the stream, right? That are typing, and it's like, there's a value in having that type of community who are just as enthusiastic about the thing that you enjoy. And we should be able to, you know, enjoy and, you know, value each other for that. Let me not get mushy, but yeah.
This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.